My name is Tony O'Loughlin. We're in Kingston, Ontario. I'm from Belfast. I was born there and I was brought up in Belfast. I worked as a community worker in the Lower Falls Road in Belfast in the 1970s. And of course that's at the height of the Troubles. I left Belfast in 1977, originally just for a couple of yees to the BC. I worked as frontier apostolate in up around Prince George for a number of years. I came to Kingston in 1989. And I was quite surprised actually to hear that there was a mass grave of Irish famine victims in Kingston. I'd always been very involved in Irish culture, organising different things, but I wasn't aware of the mass grave in Kingston. I'd been here in Kingston roughly for about a year when I came across that, and I'd never seen any monuments or plaques or that. I'd seen plaques to a lot of other things and monuments. So whenever I followed up, there was an Angel of Mercy monument, which originally was placed in the mass grave at Kingston General Hospital. It would have been from the 1847 immigrants, Irish immigrants that came. In 1966, that Angel of Mercy monument was moved up to a far corner in St. Mary's Cemetery. So it wasn't very visible in that. And people that I had talked to, a lot of people were not aware of either the Irish contribution in Kingston, the significant Irish contribution, or the mass grave of Irish under the ground, under the parking lot on the grounds of Kingston General Hospital. So it became important then to form an organisation so that the Irish contribution in Kingston could be more recognised, and also to commemorate those who died in Kingston in 1847. As part of that research, however, before the monument was erected, there was a number of references to the Rideau Canal. And I'd always heard of Colonel By building the Rideau Canal, but the more research that was done, it was obvious that between 1826 and 1832, an estimated 1,000 Irish labourers and their co-workers, mostly French Canadian, but other ones as well, had died building the Rideau Canal. And yet, when you go along the canal, there was no reference, lots of reference to Colonel By. So it's important that the Irish be recognised. And so with more research and working with the labour movement and forming a group of Kingston Irish Folk Club in Kingston, we set about trying to make the Irish more recognised in Kingston. So one of the first things we did was erect a drinking memorial fountain to the labourers. It's the first monument anywhere along the canal to recognise the labourers. And there's a Celtic cross etched on it, the Irish language is on it, and it recognises the labourers. Then, after that, we put up a Celtic cross actually in Doug Fleur Park, and it was important that it be monuments that you couldn't walk past without at least looking at them and knowing that it was Irish. So that was very important. It had to last as well. So that's why the Celtic crosses were very important as a symbol of Irish culture. And then when it came to the culture itself, we formed a group of Irish dancers, and it was also very important that nobody be barred from doing Irish dance because they couldn't afford it. So it was important to have a group that was affordable, but it was also important as well for the younger ones to learn how to teach Irish dance and form their own groups and take responsibility for different things. So we've spent a lot of years actually doing that, and we're very pleased that there's a number of Irish dancers now that are quite capable of forming and have formed their own groups over the years. For the Celtic music, we operate on two levels. We operate with groups that are very comfortable and are very good in playing in the bars and that. We have Tiernan Oak Irish Pub, who's been very supportive of all the stuff that we do. But we also have it open to the community for people who would like to be playing music, and we include Irish, Scottish, East Coast Canadian music in what we do. So it's a community-based organisation. It's a volunteer organisation, and in fact, this year we're celebrating our 30th year in Kingston for the Irish famine victims. It's important to note that there was more food that was sent out of the country to save the nearly 1 million Irish that died, and another 2.5 million Irish immigrated. And being Irish myself in Ireland, you always knew of these different events. Ireland was one of the poorest countries in Europe at one time, so you always knew that emigration was going to be part of your life, or your neighbours, or whoever. But it's only in coming to these other countries, to another country, that you realise what the Irish endured when they came. Many of them were despised in life and forgotten in death. And I think when you look at the Irish, each of us have a responsibility to do something about that. There's no point in pointing the finger at somebody else saying, well, this should have been done years ago or whatever. It's an individual responsibility. If the Irish do not look out for the Irish, who else will? So it's important we recognise those that went before us and the sacrifices that they made. Many of them are buried in unmarked graves. That's why even today, in different times, you'll read a newspaper article somewhere that says that they came across a number of bones and they presume that they were Irish, because the Irish that came, first of all, a lot of people were sent as part of a cheap labour force, but a lot of people were fleeing different epidemics, and that, whether it be the Irish with the typhus and that, and of course weakened by hunger, they succumbed to death, and a lot of times whole families were wiped out. We do have records in Kingston of many of those people that died. And it's very telling that in those records, at some time, Father Dollard had written that it was a particular person and estimated their age and wrote down where he thought they were from. But there was other entries there that'll say 5 children and 2 adults, and that they were just totally Kingston was overwhelmed, and but over time, like, you can see the Irish influence in the area. You have names like Erinsville, Shannonville, all kinds. And when you talk to those people, they certainly know they're Irish and they're proud of being Irish, and it is part of their culture.